Let's talk about some of the best purchases I think you can make if you're in your 20s like me. And no, I'm not going to suggest you go out and buy a bunch of Airbnbs. In our 20s, and I'm talking to the everyday person here, we're in this strange middle ground between finishing some level of school and entering the job market in pursuit of a profession. Considering that both the amount of schooling and job opportunities vary from person to person, we're all at different points of generating wealth. For most people, right now, that's not going to be much. The best purchases I think you can make in your 20s are things that provide long-term value way beyond their price tag, ideally without breaking the bank. Instead of trying to rank these next 3 things in order of importance or effectiveness, let's just go from smallest to largest. But I want you to keep something in mind though. Even small purchases have the power to transform your situation. Expensive does not always mean effective. A gym membership is a great purchase to make if you don't already have one. If you think about it, a gym membership is very much an investment, the most obvious being an investment in your health. Very much like a long-term approach to investing in financial assets, I like to view consistent exercise as long-term contributions to the single most important asset of all, my health. What good is having a massive stock portfolio or creating generational wealth if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it? Consistent exercise is an absolute must if you have any ambitions of living a long, healthy life. A gym membership makes getting that exercise easy and more exciting. Whether you're interested in lifting weights, cardio, mobility movements like yoga, or just some simple classes, a gym membership is about having convenient access to all of those things. Do you need a gym membership to exercise? Definitely not. But speaking for myself, I'm much more consistent when I have a place that offers an environment with exercise variety and other like-minded individuals. Affordability is no longer an issue when it comes to joining a gym. Maybe at one time there were few cheap alternatives to legacy gyms like Gold's and World Gym, but that's no longer the case. There are gym memberships that fit the budgets of nearly everyone. If you can afford the $100 a month membership to Lifetime Fitness, save me a protein smoothie. But if you can't, most commercial gyms fall within mid-tier pricing. I'm talking $35, $40, $50 a month for a membership. For many of us that are focused on personal finance, we wouldn't think twice about investing $50 a month into the S&P 500. But the moment it's for a great investment that isn't denominated in dollars, we for whatever reason hesitate. In the context of your health, that cost, $35, $40, $50 a month, is nothing. But with that said, if you truly can't afford that mid-tier pricing, there's always options like Planet Fitness. And I'm serious, Planet Fitness is a fantastic cheap alternative to other commercial gyms. They may not have every piece of equipment or amenity you want, but for the price, you get more than enough to find an exercise routine that interests you. If affordability isn't enough to convince you why a gym membership is a great purchase, here's some numbers that should hurt your proverbial wallet. Chronic diseases such as heart disease and stroke cost the US healthcare system over $350 billion a year in medical costs and lost productivity. Diabetes, almost $330 billion, and obesity, over $170. According to some estimates, the total costs associated with treating chronic illnesses is north of $1 trillion a year, all of which are conditions that regular exercise can contribute to not just prevention, but rehabilitation too. These costs should matter to you because whether you realize it or not, you are paying for them through taxes and high insurance premiums. Wealth is not exclusively about physical and mental fitness, but also about financial well-being. Now, why is it a great purchase to make in your 20s? Because really, there's never a bad time to join a gym. But there's something that happens in your 20s that makes having a gym membership crucial. We enter the real world. In our 20s, we get blindsided by all the responsibilities of adulting, and those responsibilities take up most of our days. From work, to families, to significant others, there's only so much time we have to ourselves. So now is the time to learn how to integrate an exercise routine into our lives, because life only gets busier. Again, like investing, if you can't learn to consistently exercise when you're young, you can't learn to consistently contribute to your assets, in this case, your health, chances are you won't learn when you're older. Get a gym membership. Another life-changing purchase I think you can make in your 20s is the new clothes and wardrobe that fit your profession. Let me explain. Whatever profession you find yourself pursuing, chances are there's appropriate attire for that role. Whether it's clothing that provides utility and safety on a job, or clothing that conveys professionalism, it's worth investing in your image of being and ability to be capable. It's the cliche of dress the part. From a practical sense, quality work attire can be as important as the tools you use. If you're in the trades, for example, a nice pair of work boots goes a long way. Not only will they be more durable and offer greater comfort while working, but you'll avoid having to continuously replace cheaply made ones. The same can be said about gloves, work pants, and protective outerwear. It's worth buying well-made gear. I'm not suggesting top of the line, but certainly try to strike a balance at affordable quality. Those items will be more comfortable, likely more protective, and most importantly, they'll last. Again, what you don't want is to cheap out on your work gear, put it through a little bit of wear and tear, and then have to replace it. You end up spending more money buying multiple pairs of the cheaper gear than you would have if you just bought higher quality gear the first time. If you really can't afford quality gear, I would get what I can afford out of necessity, but with the goal of upgrading as soon as possible. If that means changing my savings goals to accommodate those purchases, I'm doing it. To me, that quality gear directly impacts my performance and the long-term costs of being in that profession. Now, from an image perspective, I don't care what anyone says, what you wear still matters. First impressions are everything, and most of the time, that first impression is what someone sees when looking at you. We're visual creatures, and what we see instantly inserts bias into our subconscious. Whether you're walking into an interview or introducing yourself to colleagues or meeting new customers, how you're dressed will undoubtedly impact those people's perception of you. It's not about showing off your designer shirt or $1,000 shoes, but it is about sending the message that those people are in good hands. I feel for the most part, business casual attire is affordable and easy to find, and the upfront costs of shirts, pants, and shoes can be spread over time as you build your wardrobe. So those items may not feel as big of an investment, but there is one that deserves some attention. If you work in finance, you know that the suit is still prevalent in the workplace. It may not be as formal as it used to, but the suit is still a staple. And really not just in finance, but also in various corporate roles, sales, and client services. So you can't go wrong with purchasing a few work suits, but here's where affordability becomes an issue. A good quality suit can run anywhere from $1,000 to several $1,000s. And that's just for one suit. For work, you're going to need more than that. The key to buying multiple work suits that are affordable is finding the middle ground between mass-produced garments and custom tailoring. That middle ground is well-fitting, off-the-rack suits. Emphasis on the fit. Off-the-rack suits are the ones you'll see at places like Macy's and Men's Warehouse. They are mass-produced jackets and pants that follow standard sizing based on your basic measurements like chest size and arm length. Off-the-rack alone does not mean cheap or poor quality. There are many off-the-rack suits that would make your jaw drop. It has everything to do with both the fabric and branding. You don't want cheaply made, and you don't want to have to sell a kidney, so where do you look for affordable quality? I'm a huge proponent of Suit Supply. They have tons of affordable off-the-rack suits made from quality fabrics. They're the upgrade from your local Macy's without the big designer name jacking up the price. With most suits in the $500 range, it isn't unreasonable to build a wardrobe around a few of these. But we're all at different points in our finance journeys, so if you're really on a budget, do not worry, my friend, because when it comes to suits, there's one thing that matters more than fabrics, branding, and price. How a suit fits is the most important thing. So whatever you end up buying, from wherever, fit, fit, fit. When you budget this out, make sure you put enough money aside for alterations. I have seen people make a $200 suit from Macy's look like a $1,500 Armani. How a suit fits you is what will take it to the next level. What we wear as professionals matters, no question about it, but I did just only address how it impacts the way others perceive us. But I may have overlooked something more important. What we wear affects how we perceive ourselves. Wear what makes you feel like the expert you are, or the expert you aspire to be. The bottom line is this: wear what makes you feel confident. One of the single best purchases you can make in your 20s is also the simplest: assets. Specifically, the foundations for your investment portfolio that will help you build lifetime wealth. And I know this may not seem like a purchase, but investing still requires you to use the money you would otherwise spend on tangible things, like memberships and clothes. There is technically buying involved, so we're gonna count it. And here's the beauty of investing: you can start with small amounts of money. You don't have to dive in head first with tens of thousands of dollars. The most important thing is to just get started. What makes investing in your 20s so crucial is two main points. The first is the power of compounding. The earlier you make those initial investments, the more your returns will be compounded over time. Holding a long-term investment for 10 years is substantially less lucrative than holding it for 30. The second is the habits you'll develop that determine how successful of an investor you are. For instance, investing consistently while fighting the urge to jump in and out of positions is something you learn to do. It takes not only emotional discipline, but also commitment to your future self. The thing that makes a really good investor is the ability to sound out the noise when headlines of recessions and stock market crashes start making you fearful. It's the ability to find comfort in knowing a consistent and long-term investing strategy can weather literally any financial storm. Consider this: can you watch your portfolio drop in value and not sell your investments? Can you prioritize your investing over recreational spending? Can you commit to building wealth the right way, which isn't always fast? These are all questions you'll answer by starting your investment journey as soon as possible. The sooner, the better. Without getting too much into the types of assets worth investing in, I'll tell you what I think is the perfect, simplest investment to make in your 20s. The S&P 500. I focus on the S&P right now because I want stocks to make up the majority of my portfolio. I want those higher returns compounded over time. If my whole point to investing in your 20s was the compounded returns, there's no other asset that performs better in the long run than good stocks. Now, most of us are too busy to properly analyze individual stocks, so with an S&P 500 index, that's not necessary. 500 of the largest publicly traded US companies across various industries. I get diversification and an exceptionally impressive performance history. So staying consistent with affordability, the way I invest in the S&P 500 at a low cost is through the ETF VOO. It has an expense ratio of 0.03%, which is $3 for every $10,000 invested. But VOO is not the only low-cost fund out there. There's plenty of good alternatives. If you'd like a more in-depth video about why I think the S&P 500 is the perfect investment, my best performing video to date was on exactly that. I'll leave a link to it in the description, and you can find it at the end screen. I should note that investing is a broad term. There's many ways to go about it, but some common starting points are going to be the 401k your employer offers, or an IRA through a brokerage like Fidelity. There's also basic brokerage accounts and direct investing like purchasing a rental property. Just remember that not all investing methods are simple, and very few are actually passive. Depending on how you go about it, you may have to be extremely involved with managing your assets. Usually the case for real estate. But the underlying principle is the same. Find a simple investing strategy that you can follow consistently and for a long period of time. Let compounding do its thing and learn what it takes to be a good investor. If you can do that in your 20s, you'll be much better off than if you learn it in your 30s. And there you have it, the 3 best purchases I think you can make in your 20s: a gym membership, work clothes, and your first set of invested assets. Now, these aren't the only best purchases I think you can make, but for the sake of time, I'll save them for another video. If you enjoyed the video, I invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We talk about it all: personal finance, investing, business, entrepreneurship, and anything else related to money. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself, and best of luck.